Mic check. We are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. Hello, hello. All right, I'm looking at PayPal here. I wanted to go live this morning to build out the watch list together. And just so you can see, this is the watch list from yesterday. This is a raw session. This is a really raw session. I haven't looked at anything. I just opened up the charts. So you are getting the very genuine version of me building out this watch list with you. So pay attention. Pay attention, pay attention. You know, if you're in that learning phase, just watch how I do things. Make notes of stuff. Usually I give out some nuggets of information. So, yeah, just make sure you're actively looking. All right, SPY. Here's the deal. This morning, slight gap up. I'm not sure why my previous day's closing price isn't displaying, but it should. It's right here. So it's a slight gap up this morning, under 698. That's your pre-market high. But what's really interesting about this is if we go back to the daily, 697.84 is your all-time high, right? And if you go back to that focus list that I posted on Sunday, let's go to SPY. What do we say about SPY? Everybody's looking for a sell-off, right? But the daily time frame prints a different story. 2.5 months now of higher highs and higher lows. And I sent you this chart below. This is your higher high. This is your higher lows. This week, I'm watching for all-time highs. That's the only way that I take a trade on this. So I said long idea above 698 if it can get there. Well, guess what, team? It got there. It's there. It's there. So it's easy. The analysis here, very, very simple. The only thing that we're looking for is new all-time highs. Long idea above 698. It can be that easy. We do not have to overcomplicate this. Now, where this does get a little tricky is naturally 698 is going to be a point of resistance, right? We know that. All-time high is going to be a potential point of resistance. What if this rejects and sells? At what price point do we go short? Well, we got to look back at the previous price action. And we don't have to go back too far because on the daily, you know, really this is all that we have to go off of because this is where we're trading at all-time highs. We've never traded at this price point before. So this price action that we're looking at over the past couple of months, this is it. This is all we have to reference back to. So we go back to the 5-minute time frame. What makes the most sense here to go short? What makes most sense? Well, if we're looking at the previous day's close on a gap up day, that makes a lot of sense, right? Maybe short under 695. The problem with that is that it's really close to, we're already being aggressive with the long level. We don't want to also be aggressive with the short level, right? It's very close to the current trade price. And so the issue is, what if SPY opens up, gives you a big candle like this to both sides? Now all of a sudden you run the risk of hitting both trigger levels within one move. And you do not want that to happen because you get confused. So the better thing here to do is if you're going to go aggressive with the long level, which we certainly are, then you want to be a little more conservative with the short level. That's just a good rule of thumb, good general rule of thumb. Like I said, nuggets of information, right? So maybe add that to your notes. So what makes sense here? What makes sense to go short? Well, look at the support here. We're going to draw a trend line. Look at the support. There. And then what happens? When that support breaks, it flips to resistance, doesn't it? Resistance, boom, boom. Then it gets reclaimed. That same line gets reclaimed, now acts as a point of resistance, boom, flips to a point of support. Check that out. So this is your reactionary level right here. It's 694, and for that reason, because we're getting so much reaction around this, so much support around this, so much resistance around this, that becomes your short level to the bottom side. So short below $694. The level that is hit the most, is the most relevant level to trade off of and to trade around. Cool. All right, up next, Remember, day trade watch list, we're going to go straight off this focus list here that I posted yesterday for you, 5:19 p.m. So hopefully when this comes out, this focus list comes out, do your homework. Make sure you go chart these. We may have to adjust it, but still chart all those out so you have an idea of what the heck's going on. Apple, next one on the watch list. Wow, 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 wow. What a run yesterday, right? So glad that we put this on the watch list. So glad that we were looking for direction. Check this out on the daily. Mega candle, isn't it? So this is certainly a break of the downtrend trend line. This is certainly a hold of the 200 EMA on the daily. This is certainly a break of the range. This is certainly a reclaim of the 50 EMA. And this is certainly a post-earnings trade idea continuation watch topside today. So Apple should be one thing and one thing only. We are not bearish on this at all. Zero, zilch. We are looking for only a continuation. That's going to be a higher high, which is a break of yesterday's high of day area, which is 270 or 270 and a half if you want to be very specific, or 271 if you want to be a little more conservative. I want to be as aggressive as we possibly can on Apple because yesterday's move was fairly aggressive, wasn't it? Pretty much right after the initial run, if you didn't get in on the dip, which we did yesterday, and we caught this move back up to the high of day, but if you didn't get in here, the only other entry point that I see is off of this dip or maybe later on in the day as this broke out into the high of day above that price point there. So Apple, yeah, only a few entries offered yesterday, but I'm glad we caught a piece of it. It's going to be a long idea above 270, and like I said, we're not worried about that short level at all. So this is a post-earnings continuation trade idea following yesterday's reclaim of the 50 EMA, break of the consolidation, and break of the downtrend trend line. I'm just going to abbreviate there. Somebody said, do you think Apple is going to consolidate since it ran yesterday? It could, but remember, it's not running just to run. It is running off of earnings. And when you have earnings, typically you expect to see increased volatility. And on top of that, when earnings was reported, which was here, we did get a consolidation day. We got 2 days. We got pretty much a flat earnings. So 2 consolidation days where the news was being digested, and then investors said, okay, yeah, it's good to go. Let's run it. Right? So this is the start of a momentum move outside of a consolidation phase already. So because it recently consolidated and the move just started yesterday, I'm not shy about Apple going into today. I do think this is going to be the top stock pick of the day, and I do think it's very possible that we get a continuation out of this. Of course, anything could happen. Yeah, certainly we could see an inside day where this doesn't move. But the analysis here is simple. If we don't get a break of 270, don't take the trade. Don't take the trade. But I do have higher confidence in Apple because of all those factors, right? Break of the downtrend trend line, break of the consolidation, reclaim of the 50 EMA, the hold of the 200 EMA, post-earnings trade idea. That's like 5 confirmations right there I just named, 4 or 5 confirmations. So this is a higher confidence setup for me. I'm not going to shy away from it. This is probably something that I would size normal on, or at least maybe even size up on. So Apple long above $270. Up next is going to be Tesla. And if you ever forget why these stocks are on the watch list, reference back to the daily time frame. The daily time frame will tell you a lot about what we're looking for. Just based off of this right here, with where Tesla bounced at yesterday, we identified this static line of support. That's why this white trend line is there. So what do you think that we're possibly looking for going into today? Well, Tesla, when it failed to hold that green dashed line, this is your 50 EMA. When it failed to hold that as support, look at it's treating it as resistance, right? Every rally up, it's barely breaking above there, barely breaking above here, and could not break above the past 3 days there. This is another post-earnings trade idea where direction is just not clear. Initially you get a sell-off, and then followed by a move up, but it's still an inside day, and then followed by a move back down. So the direction, just like with Apple, after post-earnings trade idea, it's not established. There's no direction here yet. And so we're looking for this type of move, this big breakout move or breakdown move. We're just looking for an outside move on Tesla to tell us what the direction here is going to be. So back to the 5-minute time frame, if we were looking for the lower lows, which we were, that's not in play today because of where Tesla is at now. So it's a gap up on Tesla, back up towards, well, we can't say these highs because it's not really there either. So it's not near the low down here, and it's not near a higher high, which would be way up here, right? And so the problem with this is I only want to take a trade if we get a higher high, and I only want to take a trade if we get a lower low. And where Tesla is opening up at, pretty much right in the middle of both of those price points, isn't it? So what about this is high probability today for an outside day? Nothing. Nothing here is high probability for Tesla today, in my opinion. It could move. It could make a big move up to that resistance. But like I said, it's only high probability if we get a higher high. And by the time it gets here, if it does indeed make this move, there's a good chance that buyers are going to be exhausted, right? I mean, look at what happened previously. It made that type of move, buyers get exhausted, and this pulls back. And this is called a measured move. So if we take the size of this move over here and slide it to the right, that's barely enough to get us up here, right? Before buyers are likely going to feel exhausted and this turns back around. And this is a known area of resistance, so there's a good chance it falls short anyways, correct? Right? You guys tracking so far? So for that reason, there's nothing here on Tesla today that's high probability. And you might ask, well, Gates, why did you even put this on the focus list if it's not high probability? Well, Trader Joe, that's because Tesla closed here. Maybe there's a chance this gapped down this morning, right? Just like it gapped up, maybe there was a chance that this gapped down. And if this did gap down, now all of a sudden it's trading near the support, the static line of support there, and possibly here. So what I was looking for was going to be a breakdown on Tesla today, but with the gap up this morning, that pulls that trade idea of a breakdown out of play because, again, same reason, right? Measured move. If this sells off all the way to here, could we take a trade under the PDC and sell it off? Sure, but is there a bunch of support? I see support there, I see support here. Is there support between where it's at versus where I want to take the trade, which is really down here? Yes, there is. And so how would we know, where this is going to, maybe this pulls back to here and bounces. Maybe it pulls to here and bounces. Maybe it pulls to here and bounces. So there's nothing here that's high probability to the short side either. So for that reason, we remove it from the watch list. And do not ever be afraid to take this focus list, even if you do analysis on it the night prior and say, hey, you know what? That's just not in play today anymore. Let's remove it. And so that's exactly what we are going to do. Tesla does not make the watch list today. Hood, next one on the watch list, fantastic breakdown. Would have been kind of difficult to catch. You had one opportunity here yesterday, and that was it. That was during this sell-off, rally up. This is a bear flag sell-off, follow through, back down. You had one opportunity to take this short, in my opinion, and that's going to be somewhere in this area after the first 5 minutes. If you don't catch that move down, you pretty much miss the entire trade. That was the case for me because the options chain contracts did not look that good at the time that I was trying to take this trade. It was a pretty wide spread. So I wound up missing it, which is, just a total missed opportunity. But the good thing about missing it is that the direction, like the analysis was correct, right? And the direction is certainly established. Again, if you don't remember why this is on the watch list, look at the daily. This is a bear flag breakdown into a bear flag breakdown into a failure to hold the 200 EMA as support into a higher volume sell-off. This thing is looking weak. Wouldn't you agree? In the big grand scheme of things, this is almost like a head and shoulders pattern. It's not super pretty, but you can kind of get the idea here. This is your left shoulder. This is your head. This would be the right shoulder. And now we're following through with the break of that neckline, and this thing is selling off. So Hood does make the watch list today as a continuation short idea underneath your low of day from yesterday, which is going to be roughly around $89. If you need to be more specific, 88.5 could work here. But I like the short under 89 because if we go short under 89, we can risk off of 90, right? With that being your previous day's closing price. So we don't need a whole lot of extra confirmation out of this, in my opinion. So Hood, short below 0.89. Up next is PLTR. Wow, wow, wow. What a move up, isn't it, from the earnings report? So put simply, we don't need to look at anything else on the chart. Put simply, this is a continuation trade idea above your pre-market highs, which is roughly right here, 166. It's 166 to 167. So whatever you feel comfortable with, either one of those lines work. Since we do expect to see increased volatility out of this today, I don't want to be aggressive at 166. I do need to see a true high out of this. So long idea above 167. Back to the daily chart time frame. Look at this recovery move. So this is a pennant breakdown into a bear flag breakdown, and this thing's been selling, right? We were going short on this last week, and then this move up, this is your gap up. So it moved up from here all the way, right? That's your gap up there, roughly. I think it stopped short at once. So you got a big gap below for PLTR to fill, but it's up for a reason. So I'm not looking to take this short today. I know that we probably could. You know, maybe I would do something like this where I say this is your previous support, could be, previous resistance. That could be a new point of support, so maybe short at 160. But I don't like going against the grain. If the stock is up, it's up for a reason. I'm just going to look for it to follow through topside. If we don't get a higher high out of this because this is extended, then so be it, right? If this trades inside of this zone, or even if it reverses and sells off, I mean, it's a missed opportunity, but I don't really care to trade it under here. I do care to trade it if it's going to continue and give us that momentum up. So PLTR long above $167. And this is a post-earnings trade idea. And then all we're looking for there is the continuation watch, right? Should be very simple. Up next is Walmart. This one I regret not putting on the watch list because I saw it. So going into this week, at the start of this week, I saw this here on the daily. I did see this. I did see this break of the downtrend trend line, and Walmart's just it's not typically a big mover. Right? And so I saw this, but I was like, yeah, well, if it runs, it's probably just going to get to 121 and stop. And that was definitely not the case. It broke 121, 122, 123, and 124. The thing kept going. In fact, that was such a big day yesterday. That was the biggest day that Walmart has had since this day over here, it looks like. So that is how many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 9.5 months, almost 10 months since Walmart has made this big of a move. Very incredible. This absolutely deserves to be on the watch list. It was a missed opportunity yesterday. I likely would have said long above 120. I likely would have said that, and that trade would have worked beautifully for us. But like I said, the good thing about missing a move is that you get confirmation of the move, correct? So let's look for new all-time highs out of this today. What makes the most sense for me is a break of 124.2. The problem with that is that it's trading just under 124.2. It's kind of like this obscure level. So I'm just sliding that up 30 cents, 124.5. So Walmart. We could put this as a side chart too. That's fine. Walmart over 124.5. So we're just looking for the new all-time high out of WMT. INTC, next one on the watch list. INTC made a really nice recovery. So we'll go back to the daily. INTC made a really nice recovery move. This is another post-earnings. So it's a gap down post-earnings, but it started to consolidate since then. And so overhead, from $50, which is your whole number at 50, natural point of resistance, from $50 up to 53, that is a gap to be filled, correct? So 5-minute time frame, where is this trading at? Well, it's already over 50. I actually wish that this didn't gap up, because what this does with the gap up is cuts into our profit margin. We know that gap ends at 53. So what we're going to do here is try to identify our profit margin from the pre-market highs, let's just say 51.5 up to 53. Are we still offered over 2% profit margin on this? Yes, inside of the gap, right? So that means that that's enough for us to still take a trade on this, even though a portion of the profit margin has been taken away from us by the gap up. INTC still offers high probability movement topside with plenty of profit margin for us to take advantage of. So there are two ways you can run this, long above 51 or long above 51.5. Either one is fine here. Since this is a gap fill with any higher high that it makes, and gaps are not filled in the pre-market, I'm going to be more aggressive on this one today and say long above 51. And if this continues to move higher, then we'll adjust it higher. INTC over 51 for the gap fill trade topside. Microsoft, next one on the watch list. So Microsoft, remember the analysis that I did for you on Sunday. This is a double gap, right? There's a gap overhead from the earnings sell-off, and then previously, I'll just scroll all the way back here, there's a gap up from the previous earnings report. So there's a gap below the current trade price. So now we zoom in a little more here. There's a gap below the current trade price. There's a gap above the current trade price. So all we're looking for is an outside day beyond the first day that this had, the first day after this had earnings. So that means 5-minute time frame, the static line of support is extremely clear to us. That's going to be right here at 421. And look at where this is trading at right now. I haven't, you guys are seeing the raw version of this. I have not moved these lines since I made them originally from way over here. So this holding support here and in the pre-market and selling down, this is not a coincidence that this is sold to this point and started a little bit of a bounce. This is testing that point of support. And what we're looking for is the break of that support because there's a gap to be filled below. So we're going to go $1 off that pre-market low, short below $420 today on Microsoft. And there's no long level here, right? Even though we could take this long, you can say, Gates, this is at support. Maybe this is going to bounce and give us a big day. Yeah, I hear you. That could be a move, right? Could we make some money if it made a move like this? Yes. Could we make some money if it made a move like this? Definitely, right? Absolutely, absolutely. But is there a high probability trade to the top side? The answer is no. Why not? Why isn't there a high probability? Because look at all of this price action that this has. How much resistance? There's probably resistance there, probably resistance here, probably resistance there, resistance here, resistance here. And so if you're going long on this, even though it's at a point of support, if you're going long on this, at what point does this hit resistance and reject? Is it going to be that one? Is it going to be this one? Is it going to be this one, right? And we don't know. So the easier trade to take, make it simple for yourself. The easier trade to take here is just short. Why? Because there's no support here. So would you rather trade when there's no resistance and support and you've got a clear room for this to run, or would you rather trade when this has got a ton of resistance overhead and you really don't know which point is going to hold true, right? And it's not until Microsoft gets up here that this then becomes a high probability setup to the top side, because once it's up here, now it's a gap. Now there's no price action for this to really run into, right? And it starts to fill that gap pretty quickly. So just because you can set a long and short level on everything, it does not mean that you should or that you have to set a long and short level on everything. You can have a bias, and if it doesn't hit, you just don't take the trade. So again, if this holds 420 and bounces, who cares? It's not a high probability setup for a bounce. It is a high probability setup, though, if this sells. So the only thing I'm going to look for is a sell. Microsoft, short below 420. And we are going to say on watch for a break of the static support formed over the past 3 trading days. And there is a gap just below the current trade price. Microsoft short below 420. Up next is Meta, M-E-T-A. So yet another name where we go to the daily time frame, yet another name where gapped up from earnings and it really just hasn't done a whole lot, right? Top side, is there a high probability setup to the top side? If this breaks the downtrend trend line and runs, maybe, but what's more important here? The short. Why? Because just like with Microsoft, right below the current trade price is a gap to be filled down. And this is the $700 whole number as well, which is just going to be a natural point of support anyways. So I like Meta as a potential short idea if this fails to hold 700 for that gap fill. This doesn't look too bad. It is gapped up from earnings. This doesn't look too bad. I could see a move like this happening, and mark my words, because knowing if I'm looking for the gap fill, knowing my luck, it probably will make a monster move back up to the top side. But, you know, if you want to set a long level on this one, I wouldn't mind it so much because the previous high would be over here. So it'd be like a long above 715 or so. But the higher probability setup, the high probability setup is to the short side today on under 700, under the whole number, and into that gap just below. So Meta is going to be a short idea below 700, much like Microsoft, looking for the gap fill underneath. We'll just put this as a side chart for right now. Up next on the watch list is Nvidia, NVDA. And the analysis here from when we originally looked at this has changed quite a bit. Let me break this down for you. So Nvidia, when I originally put this on the focus list going into this week, you know, it was trading. So this is your point of resistance here. This is a point of resistance there. This is a point of resistance there. And then most recently, this is what I was adding it for. It was trading at that point of resistance. And so my thinking was, if this breaks 195 and runs, you know, we can get to 200 pretty easily. And then beyond 200, you start to look for a run to the all-time highs. But it has indeed confirmed this area yet again as a point of resistance at 195 and started the sell-off. So this now changes. The analysis that we looked at, you know, when we looked at this on Sunday, it changes and we have to adjust. Now this is a break of the uptrend trend line. It's a respect of the resistance overhead. It's a failure to hold the 50 EMA if this can make a lower low today. Short idea under 184 on the daily, right? But the gap up this morning kind of pulls that a little bit out of place. So this is not necessarily something I would say is like a high probability setup. It's probably like if we had to classify our setups with A setups or A plus setup and a B setup and a C setup, this is not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best thing in the world. It does present an opportunity, though, if this sells. And I do want to put this on the watch list because this sell-off at the end of day yesterday was fairly aggressive. So I like Nvidia for a continuation move lower. It's just a lower quality setup, in my opinion. And if you're going to go short on something, if everything is selling, you know, you're probably better off going short on Microsoft that has a gap fill below. You're probably better off going short on Hood, which has been selling. You're probably better off going short on Meta, which has been selling, right? Or which has the gap below, rather. So we're going to switch Meta, and we're going to say short below 700. And then we'll put Nvidia right here. And that'll be the full watch list. So Meta, for our notes, we're going to say on watch for a break of the 700 whole number just below, which would mean this is working on filling the gap that is just below. And then so we'll go Nvidia below 184. Nvidia below. So I just need to see if this is going to sell off, right? So be it. We could be a little more aggressive here, maybe 185. If you, well, actually, do we like that at 185? Let me look. Back to the daily. It's aggressive, but it is under yesterday's low of day. Yeah, I like 185. I like 185. We're going to go short at 185 because if this sells off, right, if this sells off at the open and looks like that, now we can risk off. If we go short at 185, we can risk off. We could do a stop loss here at the PDC. It should, if it fails to hold that PDC, because it is a gap up, right? Gap up this morning. If it breaks that green line, the previous day's closing price, the idea is that it's going from green to red on a failure to hold that PDC as support. And so on a retest of this area, it should act as a point of resistance. So I like 185 because it gives us a tight risk off from here to there. So that could be our stop loss up there at the PDC. Yes, so I actually like this above 185, not 184. Let's correct that. Short below 185. It is still a lower quality setup in my opinion. I think other names out there look a little better, but if it has momentum today, then I've got no problem with trading this one. All right, I'm going to do a quick roll through of the my larger list here and just look in the pre-market and see if there's anything that we might have missed. This is Disney post-earnings. Yeah, I mean, Disney's just not a super popular name that's day traded, so we'll skip that one. We have a full watch list as it is. So anything that we add to the list probably has got to replace something else. Microsoft looks really good, team. This is a descending triangle too. That looks really good. So I think to the top side, long, my top stock pick of the day is going, so this is PayPal. PayPal down on earnings. I'm not super interested in trading PayPal. I don't fully understand why this stock is trading as cheap as it is, but my guess would be that there's probably not a lot of volume coming through for PayPal. Maybe people just aren't buying as much stuff, or there's so much competition now for PayPal that they kind of just get drowned out a little bit. Because if I'm looking to like pay a friend for something, I'm probably going to use Venmo. People use Venmo. People use Zelle. Even like checkouts now, people are using Shopify over PayPal. So yeah, it's just not. I think there's a lot of competition out there for PayPal, and it feels like it's like the MySpace of social media. In my opinion, that's kind of the category that I'm putting PayPal in. Don't quote me on that, but it just feels like kind of I don't want to say a boomer name, but it's just it's just an older. It's like it's not updated. There's new things out that are a little better, that are a little more easier and efficient to use, other than PayPal. And I don't think PayPal's people's first choice for stocks. For payment method. Google gapped up this morning. Looks good, but it has earnings, so we're going to leave that alone. And I saw AMD look pretty good too, but that one also has earnings, so we're going to leave that alone. You said Venmo's owned by PayPal? Oh, actually, I guess I should have known that. Okay. Well, that does change things a little bit, but I'm taking a stab at why this is down anyways. So maybe I could be totally wrong, but yeah, it's just either way, it's not a name that's really, really popular in the day trading world. So I think we got better setups on our list. So this is Fubo down on earnings, but it's a penny stock, so we're going to skip it. So again, what I'm looking for here in the pre-market is anything that this is, if you don't know, you can do this. If your charts get skewed by a candle like that, you can't see that price action, right? You can right click that and hit correct this bar and just remove it and then close, and boom, now your chart's back to normal. I don't know if you knew you could do that, but if your charts are ever skewed by like a glitch candle or something wild that looks like that in the pre-market, you can just delete the candle. But yes, what I'm looking for here in the pre-market is just anything out of the ordinary, something like this, right? Something okay, PFE has earnings. We're not going to put this on the list because the conference call is during market hours. I made that mistake with Boeing the other day. I think it was last week. I put Boeing on the watch list and it had a conference call during market hours, and it caused the stock to go buck wild. That's not good for a day trader. You don't want to be in a position while the stock is going buck wild on news. You can make good money if you're right, but it's more of a gamble. There's no edge there, right? Because the stock can do literally anything. So you kind of want to stay away from that. Uber has earnings coming up. SMCI has earnings coming up. Reddit has earnings coming up. So we still got big names reporting earnings this week. A lot of the larger names kind of out of the way. But what's nice is that we're now getting some good direction being established, and it's not all in the same direction. So we've got options. We've got opportunity here. We've got opportunity. If SPY breaks and goes into all-time highs today, you know, we've got good setups to go long on. PLTR, for example, Apple, for example. Or if SPY rejects and sells off, we've got good setups to go short on, being Meta, Hood, or possibly even Microsoft. So I like the list that we have. I think we're going to rock with what we have. And let's do one more review of everything to make sure it's all good before we post this for everybody to see. So long above 698, short below 694. That's SPY, looks good. Apple, long above 270, looks good. I'm going to go through these very quickly. If you're just now tuning in, you are late, but that's okay. You can play this stream from the very beginning and catch all that information. So when I end this stream, just go click on that link again and rewind it. Microsoft, short below 420 for that gap fill down below. So Microsoft going to be my top stock pick short. Apple going to be my top stock pick long. PLTR, next one on the watch list, long above 167 for the continuation trade idea from earnings. Looks good. Meta short below 700. Looks good. We got 4 more. That's going to be Hood under 89. Looks good. Walmart for the continuation move into the all-time highs. Long above 124.5. Looks good. We've got INTC over 51. This, I think I'm going to move. I'm going to move because it's too close. I'm going to move it to 51.5 because I just don't want to see this, you know, it opens up and runs real quick. I don't want to get faked out above 51 just to see this reject and come back down. So sliding it up just gives me a little more flexibility here without confirmation so that I'm not getting faked out on something like that. So 51.5 is the level going to be for INTC. And then the last one is Nvidia, short below $185. Watching for the continuation sell-off from the end-of-day drop yesterday on this name. So this is your full watch list going into today. All right, we are trading live this morning. If you would like to join me for the live trading, it is held in the Discord server. The only way you get access to that is if you are a member of the Discord server. So here's how you're going to navigate there. Let me post the watch list. Here's how you're going to navigate to the live trading. Left-hand side of the Discord server, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Bottom, go, 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 right? You're going to see a bunch of people kind of joining in this channel here. This is called, under the voice channels, this is called the Arena. Join me in the Arena. I'll be there in about 5 or 7 minutes. That is where we will conduct the live trading. It's not held here on YouTube because there's a lag and delay that I can't control on YouTube. I don't know why they do that. I'm guessing for, I don't know, quality control. But it's there, so it's no good for us. Discord is where we will trade live. Join me over in the Discord server right here in the Arena. I'll see you there in about 5 minutes. I hope the analysis has helped you out this morning. Please do not trade under assumption that these levels are going to break. Before you take a trade, you need confirmation. So wait till you get confirmation that those levels are breaking and that those levels are holding before you place any trades. Cool? All right. Thanks for your time. Go make some money, and you got this. Hopefully we get some nice, clean price action today. I'm confident in today. It doesn't feel like a day where I'm going to size down. It feels like a day where I'm going to rock normal position size. So hopefully we can make some good money.